Now, right at that particular time, something came up, a new doctor and a new technique came up. So it was really a time of hope. Everyone around me was extremely excited. I packed myself up. I went across the country to theoretically live inside a lead-filled room, lined room for 3 months, undertaking this new treatment and procedure promising a cure. But what ended up happening is after my surgery, I was declared cured and sent home. And once I returned home and I was scanned just 2 months later, we found out it was a complete failure, and that not only was I not cured of the cancer, but the tumors had multiplied and increased in size at a staggering rate. It was just overwhelming. Now, at that point in my wellness community, we had a few individuals that, in my perception, this is my viewpoint on it, that were fighting, and this is just my personal view on, you got to fight the fight for cancer, and you hear in the news, oh, someone lost the courageous battle with cancer. And that's how we kind of approached it, that we had this fight to do. And when she would sit and talk, and she was the sickest of all of us, and she died in our time together. But it was just white knuckle, holding on to life. And that was very powerful to me. And so in my recovery from the surgeries, I was at home, and that's when I went home and I prepared to die. I made my death plan. I do have the gift of all my service is completely planned. I don't have to worry about that. All my affairs are all straightened up and ready to go. It caused complete panic with my family and everyone around me, but I really moved to a place of peace. I was really peaceful about that, and that I didn't view it as a fight. I wanted to die a good, graceful death, and I wasn't afraid of what that meant for me after I died, my faith and my vision of what the next step in the journey I was at peace with. And I completely placed myself in God's hand, and I surrendered. But I realized there was one piece that I hadn't surrendered that was very precious to me, and that was surrendering the care of my children, because they were very young at the time. And for me, that was my big thing. There's always a big thing, and that if God could show so much grace to really guide my life and take care of my life, and give me peace, then I had to trust that He would do that for my children without their mother and their father, who was away and not very functional at the time. So that was huge, huge surrendering. And that is the pivotal place. That for me, that's the pivotal place of healing. Total shift occurred in me and allowed me to explode healing in every part of my body. That's when I really learned what healing of the mind and the body, spirit really ever meant. And in my mind, healing occurred through the process of gaining knowledge about my body and about my cancer, and about how to self-advocate for myself and my self-care, and also how it came to be. The one thing that's common with most cancer patients is we want to know why this happened, and if there's not a hereditary connection, most of us are really searching for what that connection is. And for me, it was growing up in Central California at a time when DDT and the pesticides known to cause cancer were used very heavily, and an idyllic childhood of romping in the farms and swimming in reservoirs was delightful, but we didn't know that they were completely contaminated with these pesticides. Mm-hmm. And a sad side to this, there's 9 of us in my family who have rare cancers. Mm-hmm. 2 of us which are living at the moment. I also learned that ultimately it's God and the God within me that's responsible for my healing and my health. Yes, I'm using and accessing medical help, but they're not the gods that I had created them to be before this journey. They're people, they're very well educated people, they're very well intended people, but they're just people. And that ultimately I have to sit with every decision that's made and sit in that deep place to be able to answer, is that the right decision for me or not? And I had to let go of a lot of relationship wounding, a lot. And that's where, for me, in the healing of the cancer has been my greatest teacher. It's not just about the physical body. It's in the healing, in the striving for healing of my cancer, I had to heal all those other broken and wounded places. And just like we went through this morning, that exercise of recalling early wounds in the scanning your life, I went through that process and I had to forgive. I learned to forgive, and even better, I let go of blame, because blame was really a nice little companion of mine. Spiritually, I began shedding all the old religious and societal assumptions that I had, and wounds that just weren't working for me. And I allowed the Spirit to define in me personally God's truth, you know, as I know it, and that's what I live by now. And I forgave those who wounded me spiritually, which was huge, very huge for me. Physically, I began to gain strength. I learned how to go deeper into God and my body and to listen, and I still work at that, and to listen deeper and more consistently. Robbie and I shared a little private conversation about listening to my body, and I said, oh, I hear my body, it's just a matter if I'm going to listen and act on it in the right way, you know, so that's still a constant journey for me. And I've had tumors disappear. I've had tumors disappear. I've gone into surgeries with the scans and them going for it, and them coming out going, we don't know what happened, but you know, we took out 6, but we couldn't find the other 3, and that's because they're not there. And I've had tumors of great mass shrink considerably through this process. So, at the crux of this matter, I think I want to share that it was at my lowest point, which I found to be my most authentic place and my most sacred place. And I saw I was complete and whole in God, in this place of surrender. And for me, that's a place that in my healing process, I continually to go to. It's kind of like a spiral, you know, and I continually hit that place. And it was this place of healing for me that I also became the wounded healer. And it was through that process where still point came into my awareness. And this notion of becoming a spiritual director and sitting with others. And I think, like many of us, my whole life, from child on, I've been a person that people come to talk to and to share. But this is a little different. This is a little different, and it's deeper, it's in a more sacred place. And I think why I can sit in my own woundedness, in my own brokenness, and in my own healing process is because I understand. I've been there. And I can sit with others and in their darkest places and their darkest fears, because I found that place of self-awareness, and I've looked at my own darkest fears right in the eye directly and said, this is how it is. All is well and all is as it should be. So kind of in conclusion, for me, the healing it's a cycle of a lot of different tools. But it comes in an awareness, a recognition of what is happening in my body. Then it moves to a place of accepting what is happening in my body. And maybe that is not sin, or maybe it's a new definition of sin, I don't know. But in the old ways of thinking, my cancer was caused, I was told directly by my family, my cancer was caused because I divorced my husband. Okay. I definitely do not believe in that. But I do believe my cancer's been probably one of my greatest teachers in my life. And that by accepting that, not dealing with that brokenness and that wounding, and not allowing it to be healed, can cause physical manifestations. And in the bigger world, I'm a little microcosm, but in the bigger world, look what we've done to our planet, our Mother Earth, and the pollution and the pesticides we've done to our earth. And at this place, I'm kind of in a mystical place where I view my body very much as kind of a mirror image to our planet, what we're doing. And it gives me great hope, because when we look at the destruction that's done to this planet, and how can we fix this, you know, and maybe it doesn't look the way we thought, that it was going to be this instantaneous healing, you know, laying on of hands, but maybe a slow process of healing and community and different tools and new assumptions coming in, all striking in a place of healing. And after that acceptance comes, I have to adapt. I have to find a new way of being. And I've shared that there's been times where, when I'm going through this process, that it just feels like the earth is constantly shifting. And to use a California reality, like an earthquake, just, you know, and finding a new way to balance that. How can I continue to stand and walk in this shifting place? And as I adapt, which is critical, is gratitude. That in every moment, even in the bad news, even in the pain, sheer gratitude that I'm here and that God has been so, so very good to me and so very gracious.
Mm-hmm.